I did something a few days ago I thought I would never do. I really had a huge fight with my dad. Like like the one where you just don't want to go back and talk to him ever in this life. But when it comes to forgiveness, right, you do it more for yourself. It's not about the other person. You might end up being normal with that person with whom you have fought, with whom you're angry, but forgiving someone else and you're really doing a big favor for yourself. Because what happens is when you don't forgive and you keep that thing to yourself, that itch is always going to be there. That itch is going to be there because you've not had clarity on it. You've not completed something. And completion comes only when you're dealt with it. And that's why escaping is never going to work out. This is one thing I've realized very deeply where if you escape something, it will it literally forces you to continue a pattern that is not good for you. Not good as in it will keep demolishing you from the inside. Like, think about it, right? If you have not dealt with something, it's going to be suppressed. It's going to be suppressed, and you're not doing anything about it. And if you're not doing anything about it, where do you think it's going to affect? It's going to affect your daily life. It's going to affect your experience of life, daily experience of life, momentary experience of life. And it's not just one thing that you suppress. Imagine there are 100 things that you're suppressing and you've not dealt with them. That's why people don't have feelings. If you look at the world, it's full of people who don't have feelings in those moments where they're not supposed to do what they're doing. And this is decades of suppressing feelings that makes people do things that they don't want to. Intrinsically, they know that they're doing a wrong thing. But because the suppression is so strong, they just can't stop it. It's like a momentum of negativity, a momentum of one thing that started way back when you didn't know anything better, and you've done it so many times that you're just not able to stop it. That's why it's so essential to just sit with yourself doing nothing, not relying on anybody else. You might talk to your friends about it, it's fine. You might talk to a therapist about it, it's fine. But the real change, right? The real change happens when you are dealing with those suppressed feelings. And trust me, these feelings come up. That's why you feel uncomfortable. When you feel uncomfortable, that's when you have to deal with that particular suppressed thing. If you don't, then it's completely going to ruin your life. You may have all the money, you may have all the fame, but when a feeling is suppressed, it it literally wants to come out. Be it in the form of grief, be it in the form of giving to other people, be it in the form of any emotion. Even if it could be anger also about something that happened in your past, about something that you did in the past. It has to come out, else it's going to ruin your body. It's going to just mess with your head, and you will be living in illusions. And that's the greatest threat to you than anything else. It's not The greatest threat is not about not having money. The greatest threat is you not facing your suppressed feelings. Whatever you're suppressed, whatever you thought was the way to move ahead out of all the things that you were not able to face before, those are very things that you have to sit down with. Write it down. Writing helps because once you get it out of your head, right, it's actually there in the real world. And this process is so important because when it's out of your head, right, that actually means you're expressing it. That actually means you're dealing with what is happening in your head. That's why I write it out. I've been writing since 2021. Just this 4 years of writing has completely changed me. I used to think about writing before, and I knew that I would be good at writing, because writing is nothing but it's an expression of how you think also. When you sit down to write, right, you actually are expressing the way you think, and the way you think is also the way you process your feelings. Now, do you see how these are connected? So if you don't sit down to write, or if you don't talk to someone else, or if you're not talking to yourself also about your feelings, there's no way in hell and heaven, if even they do exist, they don't, honestly. But it doesn't matter if you don't sit with the feelings. You really got to sit down, talk to other people, talk to yourself, make your mind work, make your brain work, think about things. Because if you don't think about all the things that you're not dealt with, they are going to completely destroy your body and mind. And sitting down with your feelings is the only way that, at least, I am completely aware of, to deal with things that keep coming up again and again. Why do you think keep repeating in your life? Why you if you just sit down and see, right, the patterns, the repetitions that have happened in your life, that itself is boggling. It's mind boggling how the same things, the same kind of people keep coming to you. And especially in relationships, if you have had multiple relationships like I have, I was in 4 relationships before the current one, and trust me, the repetitions were mind boggling. Even in the current one, I can see a lot of my own patterns that keep coming up, and these patterns are not going away. Where if you don't deal with those feelings, and even if you're dealt with those feelings, it's even harder. Just think about the complexity of this thing. Even if you're dealt with those feelings, right? I'm talking about all the work that you've done. Even then, when your partner is not healed, it's going to bring the worst out of you, because then the old wound has not been healed. That's why healing is a very important process. And it's going to be a process. It's not something that one day you'll wake up and say that you're completely healed. No, you are going to get challenges in life. They are going to be triggers. And if anybody tells you that you're going to be free of triggers, they really don't know what they're talking about. Because triggers is something that it's the more you get better at it, the more you see that you're getting triggered in that moment, the more accustomed the brain becomes of dealing with those triggers, or any trigger for that matter. Because the brain, and then the brain is watching itself. It's not reacting. It can't react if it's watching itself. You react only when you are not capable of handling that particular emotion, if that particular feeling. That's why it's always important to forgive people, forgive those who have harmed you, forgive those people who have done wrong to you. And even if you've done bad things to other people, if you lied to other people, if you have cheated on other people, and you know it, and people know, right, if they have done wrong things, there's nothing that you can push them to convince themselves. They just know it, and they're suppressing those things about what they have actually done in their life. And that's another kind of trauma, where you already have trauma in your life, and because you're not able to deal with those things, you hurt other people. It's a classic projection. Look up in psychology if you want. It's a classic projection of other people just putting their own unresolved traumas onto you. And I know now, because I've seen this a lot in relationships. The only reason that I thought today of forgiving my father was this really felt right. And there comes a moment when it feels right to forgive someone. And today I was just exercising, and it just came that I don't have to be so anxious when I'm at home, that I have to keep ignoring this guy. I know I'm talking about my father, but he is just another individual for me, because everybody has their own individuality. No matter what Indian society, no matter what the world talks about parents, right? In the end, they're individuals who are themselves dealing with their particular so many things. So it just felt right for myself, and so that I can continue living in a environment where I don't have to ignore this person, right? Because you can't run away. Even if you're living in different places, it doesn't matter because mind is such that the things that you ignore, the things that you're running away from, they really keep coming back. They will keep coming back because that's in the nature, in the design of life. That if there's anything unresolved, life is going to push you so that you face it. So I hope you find that courage, that vulnerability to really, really feel and sit down with yourself, write it down, talk to the people, but don't continue escaping from all the troubles that you have within yourself. You know, you know what you've done. Nobody has to tell you what you've done. So just accept yourself completely, one by one. I know it's going to take a long time, but start. Please begin today.